Over the past 6 months, life has only gotten worse. 4 years ago, I fell head over heels for a co-worker's sister. I rushed into marriage with a grin plastered on my face, without a second thought. I believed she was everything I'd ever wanted, but looking back, I realized I was projecting all my desires onto her. She played the role, looked the part, but I never truly saw who she was beneath that surface. Let this be a lesson to you. Take your time and make sure you know the person you're with. Sheila knew how to make a man feel special, like he was the only one in the world, but now I see she was just a master at getting what she wanted. She played me just like she played everyone else. And it wasn't until she decided I no longer mattered that I saw the real woman behind the mask. The change in her was gradual at first, but in the last 6 months, it became undeniable. Sheila grew increasingly distant. She went from caring and affectionate to cold and detached. The shift was slow at first, but then it hit me like a ton of bricks. She started going out late with her friends, but deep down, I knew most of our friends couldn't stand her. They'd been pretending for my sake and had seen through her long before I had. I knew something had to be done, so I called Harvey Madison. He's a private investigator. I didn't need him to tell me anything I didn't already know, but I needed the facts. Sheila had kept me in the dark long enough, and I needed answers. It took Harvey a week to dig up the truth. I felt like such a fool. Sheila was living a double life, and I'd been too blind to see it. Harvey's report, complete with photos and videos, made it all too real. I immediately scheduled 2 appointments, one with my doctor for a full STD screening, and the other with a family law attorney. Family law, of course, meant divorce. As the old saying goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. But video of your wife in bed with another man doesn't speak. It screams, and I couldn't ignore it. My attorney was very helpful, advising me not to confront Sheila yet, to wait until we were prepared. He assured me that if I was worried about possible STDs, I either had them or I didn't. To keep things under control, he suggested something unusual. If I needed to avoid intimacy for a while, I could buy diced onions from the grocery store, rub the juice on my eyes or stick in my nose, and the tears would flow on their own. That would keep Sheila from trying anything if I ran out of excuses. He even suggested I take a business trip. We had a laugh over that. But it worked, and so the wheels of divorce were set in motion. I started to wonder how this would play out. Would she cry? Would she deny everything until I showed her the evidence? Would she blame me, say it didn't mean anything, or just curse me out? Honestly, I was bracing myself for her anger, but deep down I was already planning how sweet the moment of confrontation would be. A week later, everything was in place. I had the divorce papers ready, and I was prepared for showdown. Turns out, Sheila was ready too. When I got home, there was a Mercedes in the driveway, and I had to park on the street. I knew that car, although I had only seen it in pictures. I had never met its owner. I stepped inside, and there they were, Sheila grinning, and the man I knew all too well. He was the one who had been playing the part of her friend. "Sit down, Bill. We need to talk," Sheila said. I had to fight the urge to smile. It was hard to hold back my laughter, because I knew what was coming, but I kept my composure. This was going to be more satisfying than I'd ever imagined. "Sheila, we've been married for 3 years, and we've known each other for 4. You've been unhappy for a year now, but it's only in the last few months that I realized you've been having an affair for at least that long. How am I doing so far?" She hesitated. "Yeah, that's about right." "I figured as much," I said, "but you should know I suspected something long before you decided to confront me." Sheila looked at me with an unsettling calmness. "Bill, I'm leaving you. I want a divorce. I'm entitled to half of everything. But if you make it simple, I won't take more than what I'm owed." "Very generous of you," I replied, fighting back sarcasm. "But don't worry, I won't make this difficult." She quickly snapped. "This marriage isn't working anymore. I'm out. This is it." "Good," I said, turning to the smirking man behind her, nodding at him. "And who's this?" "Bill, don't be rude," Sheila said, trying to maintain control of the situation. "It doesn't help you. No need to introduce him. I already know who he is." Sheila seemed irritated, but kept her cool. "He's just here for moral support." I couldn't help but laugh. What kind of support are you talking about, Sheila? What in your actions qualifies as moral support? She looked uncomfortable. I didn't mean for any of this to happen, Bill. It just happened. I've been a good wife. I've put up with your shortcomings in the bedroom. I've made dinner. I've taken care of you. But I deserve more than that. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, it's not that simple, Sheila. You had me hire a private investigator who ran all over town for an entire week. You didn't think I'd find out, did you? Sheila remained silent, but I couldn't resist a quick jab. I glanced at Henry and said, So, Henry, does your wife Barbara know about your affair with Sheila? Henry's face immediately lost all color as he sank into the chair behind him. Sheila stood frozen, her mouth open like a fish, but no words coming out. I leaned back, letting the silence linger, then added, I'll take that as a no. I checked my watch. She'll probably find out any second now. The panic was evident on Henry's face. I could tell he wasn't prepared for Barbara to hear about this. I pushed further. Tell me, Henry, do you really think a woman who cheats on her husband can stay loyal to her lover? Sheila's anxiety grew worse. She began to tremble, and I walked over to the table, pulling out several glossy 8x10 photographs. Here, Henry, I said, handing them over. These are pictures of Sheila with a man named George Ellison from last Tuesday. Henry's reaction was immediate. Shock, fear, and rage all flooded his face. He didn't seem to know what to say. But I wasn't done yet. And yes, Sheila, at this very moment, George is getting these same photos of you and him together. And his wife, Peggy, is receiving pictures of you and George, too. You're not the only one making waves here. Sheila went pale as I continued. I wonder how George will react to seeing this, especially since he's your boss, right? What do you think he'll say to you at work on Monday? For a moment, she looked like a deer caught in headlights. Just then, the phone rang. I smiled. I wonder if that's George. You'd better answer it. I can keep Henry company while you're gone. But Sheila just stared at the phone, unmoving. No, I said, pulling out more photos. Well, maybe you want to take a look at these, then. Seems Henry's been just as busy as you have. When he's not depositing his contributions to your account, he's getting cozy with his secretary. I handed Sheila a set of photos showing Henry with a redhead in his office. Her face finally showed some emotion as she looked at the images. So, let's recap, Sheila, I said. You've been sleeping with Henry behind my back, and now his wife Barbara knows all about it. Henry, on the other hand, has been with his secretary behind your back. You've also been with George behind Henry's back, and now George's wife knows about it. I've got photos of you with Henry and Henry with his secretary, so she can get the full picture of what kind of man she's married to. I paused for a moment. And by the way, I got tested for STDs. I'm still waiting for the results, but you might want to do the same. Barbara is likely filing for divorce. Peggy will probably do the same with George. And George is probably going to fire you. Oh, and I almost forgot, I made sure your company got copies of those pictures of you and George. I also made sure they got a lawsuit from me for what you did on your lunch hour. Neither of you will have a job come Monday. I turned to Henry and said, Sorry, buddy, but your sleazy grin isn't going to save you here. When I was done, the room was heavy with silence. I'd wiped the smug looks off their faces, and I went to the kitchen to grab a beer. I could hear voices in the living room, but I didn't care about what they were saying. When I came back, Henry was gone, and Sheila was sitting on the couch. I took a deep breath to steady myself. I didn't want the neighbors hearing me shout at her. I handed Sheila the divorce papers. Read them. Get a lawyer. Sign them. And if my lawyer doesn't hear back from you, we'll see you in court. This is a no-fault state, so the property division will be fair. But don't think for a second I won't send these pictures to your parents, your sister, your cousins, and every friend you've ever had. I paused, letting the words sink in. Oh, and if you were expecting me to move out, you're wrong. I'm staying in my own bed. You can move to the guest room until the divorce is finalized. But if you bring any of your friends into my house, just know this. I will kill you both. I waited for a moment, making sure she understood. I'm willing to play by the rules, but I will not be made a fool of in my own home. You can believe that. The next morning, Sheila was gone. I didn't care where she went.